10-10-15. My name is Jacob Morrow. I am a Kutztown University student. In 2015, I took a trip to the 20th anniversary of the Million Man March. To be completely honest, I had no idea what to expect. I was relatively new to the whole marching scene, but as a minority, I was taught the historical importance of peaceful protest from a young age. And as an African American, my life and my freedom was the direct result of it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, 2015 was a rough year for black people. People in general, but definitely black people. You can have whatever opinion you want, but the ruthless killing of unarmed minorities in this country was at an all-time high. And it seemed to me that there was nothing anybody was willing to do about it. After Trayvon Martin was killed and George Zimmerman was acquitted, my mother had this very serious talk with me and my little brother. The look on her face was worried yet very stern, and she told us something that most black mothers tell their kids. That no matter what, you have to realize that the world is not on your side. And the first thing people see when they look at you is that you're black. And they judge based on that fact alone until you open your mouth. As a black family living in a predominantly white neighborhood, some people felt like we didn't belong. And things like the Trayvon Martin incident and so many others could have just as easily been me or my little brother. My little brother was only 12 at the time, but he was tall and athletic, with not a bad bone in his body. But I knew that because of his dark complexion, people could be scared of him. Now, I hate using the word scared, but it's the only word to describe it. Fear is the root of all evil. Well, that and ignorance. As the year progressed and racial tensions in the United States seemed to rise, we as a nation hit a breaking point. A time in our history that will not be forgotten, especially for those who witnessed it on television or saw the madness firsthand. Now, this was right after the Michael Brown verdict. The police officer that killed Michael Brown also got acquitted, and the people of Ferguson, Missouri were not happy. A 2-day riot proceeded after the verdict of that trial, and much like the LA riots of '93 in response to Rodney King's verdict, the coverage of the riots was very graphic and very much live for the world to see. I literally watched as the U.S. took a huge relapse in civil rights on both sides, and in that moment, I feared for the future of America. With all the craziness of the past year, I felt obligated to go to the 2015 Million Man March, as an artist and as a citizen. I was thrown into a time where the world needed to see people of all races walking together in unity and peace. I had questions that needed to be answered. And I knew the only way of getting my questions answered was to participate and absorb. I wanted to know what the hell was going on with our nation. I had a feeling that the lessons learned on this trip were going to be nothing a textbook or a professor could ever teach me. On October 10th, 2015, I would live in history, and I would document what happened so that I would not only learn, but also be able to teach. This is why we march. Camera, where we are?
We're in Maryland right now, man. It's like 30 degrees outside. You know, my man got no jacket. I got a hoodie on and a jacket. He salty. No, that's kind of.
Why do I march?
Why did you march in the Million Man March?
Well, I marched for 3 reasons. One, I felt like it was a duty for me to march. Meaning, those that come after me, I don't want to see them go through the same struggles that are in front of me right now. I feel like our generation has a lot to fix that was messed up before generations before us, from generations before us. And I believe that with going to the Million Man March, I can get that energy that I needed, that energy boost that I needed that cultural awareness that I needed so I can be able to say, okay, this is our problem, let's fix it.
Come on, people, give up for Checo another hand. Leading our Christian prayer from Detroit, Michigan, Reverend Dr. Wendell Anthony, who in 1995 brought loads and loads from Detroit. Here again today to lead us in our Christian prayer, Reverend Wendell Anthony. This is the day that the Lord has made. Let us renew.
My name is Marino Fisher from Durham, North Carolina. And we came here this weekend to be a part of the movement, man. A very important piece of history is going down this weekend. I want to make sure that me and my son experienced it and was a part of it. Because I feel like it's going to be a definite change for the future after this weekend.
I march because when it comes to me having children and having grandchildren, I want to make sure that when I leave this world, I did something so that they can feel more comfortable than I do, so that the world they see isn't necessarily the same world that I see right now. It's important to march because it's unifying. You know, when it came to the Michael Brown case and Hands Up, Don't Shoot, that was worldwide. There were people in Europe, you know, doing things like that, which is amazing. You know, something you wouldn't necessarily expect, but because it was able to reach out that far and because people were willing to stand with everyone else, it made a stamp on what needs to be done. It made people realize, okay, like, this isn't, you know, a joke, this isn't fake, this is stuff we need to really pay attention to.
So, sir, can you tell us what's your name and where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Paul Dillon and I'm from Spokane, Washington.
Okay. So what brought you here today at this historic event?
Well, this is a very, very important moment in history. I feel like racism is alive and well in this country, and we've seen more recently a lot of issues beneath the surface kind of start to bubble up, and so it's more relevant now than ever. So it's very important that we be here.
All right. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy it.
Thank you very much.
All right. Hello, how are you doing today?
Fine, and you?
So, can you tell us where you're from?
I'm from Philadelphia, Frankfurt area.
And why did you decide to come to the Million Man March?
Well, I think it's important. My son is Darren Manning. He had just turned 16 and he had just left school, and they was on their way to a basketball game, and they were stopped by a van that had 2 police officers in it, and some of the kids started running, and my son didn't go anywhere, and a female officer came up and when she frisked him, she grabbed and squeezed his scrotum. And now my son can't have children.
Oh my God, you know what? I did hear about that story. Okay.
So, and he's not a street kid. He hasn't been on the street. He knows nothing about the streets. He goes to school, basketball, and then he's home. And I don't think it's fair that you can't walk down the street without someone profiling.
It was a time where, well, the first time in my life where I was able to see everybody from all aspects of this country come together. I mean, you had blacks, you had whites, you had Indians, you had Asians, you had Native Americans. You know, everyone coming together, and it's an environment that people could not only trade, you know, merchandise, listen to the people speak about their views on what was wrong with the country, but it's also a time where you could trade ideas. And I think in that aspect of it, it was very powerful. Anytime where you get a collective of people like you did at the Million Man March to sit and trade ideas and open people's minds and have different perspectives come together and meet up in one place. I think that does more of a difference than any one speaker, any one person. I challenge anybody to speak up for yourself. Speak out against things that you know in your heart that this society needs to change. So going to an event like the Million Man March, I feel like is something, if you have a chance to do, you should do it. You know, if anything, you know, to see what's going on. Why are these people here?